recognized or whatever, and we'll bring you some more. But welcome to our board meeting tonight. We're glad to see everyone here. We hope you enjoy the board meeting and see these people that will be recognized here tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing the students recognized. We always do this, and that's just a plus for us when we get to see the people perform and get recognized for it. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to the superintendent and let him introduce our guest students.
Thank you, Mr. Barker. Good evening, board, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here this evening to our school board meeting. I want to bring to the podium our principal from Florence Madison, Mr. Stacy DeFore, and he has a very special guest that he would like to introduce. So, Kaylee, if you want to come on up with him, you can come as well. And Mr. DeFore, if you would introduce our fine guest, and then we'll listen to our talk.
Good evening. I have the pleasure and honor to get to introduce Kaylee Irby. And she is a student that's been a wonderful student since kindergarten at Florence Madison. She's one of those lifers at the elementary level, and it's all about building foundations. And if I had one word to describe her, it would be uplifting. She is a student that just models what we would want our kids if we were raising them for ourselves. And it begins with us as they progress on through their school year. And her teachers say just phenomenal things. The students around her are uplifted by her, and I just really appreciate the fact that I've been able to be a part of her life the past 2 years, and I know that we're going to get to pass on our wonderful student to the middle school. So Bob Courtway is going to get a great student next year with Kaylee Irby. I'll turn it over to her.
Good evening. My name is Kaylee Irby, and I go to Florence Madison Elementary. This year, I ran for student council president. I ran because I wanted to make an impact during my last year of elementary school. As the first student council president at Florence Madison, I helped organize the Tidy Up for Turkey school cleanup event, Caps for Coins, Heifer International fundraiser, where our student body raised over $650 and gained leadership skills I will use in the future. I will miss all my teachers, especially my kindergarten teacher, Miss Melody Davis, because she taught me how to read my very first book. Also, Mrs. Hammonds and Miss McClain, because they are so nice. Lastly, I love my GT teacher, Mr. Duran, for helping me through hard times in school. Florence Madison has given me many great friendships over the last 5 years, like my best friend, Emily Vidal. Thank you, everybody, especially Mr. DeFore, for this opportunity, and to my family for supporting me.
Well, board, that's impressive. You have any thoughts or questions, board?
Kelly, do you take speech? That's wonderful.
No, sir.
I do see that one of your hobbies is Taekwondo. Is that your brother over there?
Yes, sir.
Do you use that on him?
Kind of.
What are you looking forward to about going to Bob Courtway?
Meeting new people.
Kayla, I can guarantee you're going to go far in life, and you come back and see us when you're somebody important, because you will be. You were just very impressive. And we're glad that you're here this evening representing all the school students in our school district. Would you please do us a favor and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening?
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Great job, Kaylee. And great job, Mom. Keep them coming.
The next item on the board will be the approval of the consent agenda. Board, have y'all had an opportunity to study that? Do you have any questions or anything before we vote?
I have one question.
Okay.
What is the $115 charge? That seems like a lot of teachers are getting this $115 that they have to get paid back. Is that for some fee that they're having to pay out of pocket? Right at $115, probably 20 teachers this month got it.
Really?
Paid back.
Well, I'll think you have any idea about that?
No,
She will know before the meeting's over.
Probably works on, Any other questions? Okay, board, are you ready for a vote? I'd like to hear a motion to accept the approval of consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second, all in favor, raise your hand. Okay. Get carried. Okay. We have some, I guess the approval of the policies is under that also, so we'll go to the superintendent's report. You have a number of things that you're going to report to us on.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. I would, first of all, like to recognize a group of young men and women from the high school. We call them the Conway Unified Team, and where's Coach Daniels? I'm talking about Mrs. Coach Daniels. Are you back there? Cheryl, I'm sorry, did you want to say something about the group?
Just that it's a wonderful group of kids, and the unity that they have formed and the lifelong friendship has been something really special to watch. And thank you all so much for letting us come here and be recognized.
And I know they competed for and won the state championship, is that correct? Twice in a row.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we're very, very, very proud of that. Appreciate that very much. So, Ms. Van, would you come and do the introductions for us?
Could I, are you going to do the introduction of the kids?
Yes, she
I
is.
want to say I saw that game, and it really was an uptight game because it went right down to the wire and got won. Super good.
Thank you for that. In a long career here at Conway Schools, I've done many things. I've most often been at this podium talking about budgets, talking about stimulus funds, talking about programs. And now I have the rare chance to speak to you about an athletic team. So I suppose my career is now well-rounded and fully formed, but it's indeed my pleasure to recognize this group. And so if you would, just give me a few minutes to share with you what the Unified Special Olympics team is all about. It's an opportunity for students with and without disabilities to compete together on the same team. And it is unlike anything I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of athletic events, but none that touched me more than this. So I'd like to recognize these students tonight and to express to all of them and their parents and the teachers and the paraprofessionals and everyone who supported them how important this is. That it's not just about the social aspect of it, but it's about working together, learning together, living together. And what an impact that's made on our campus at the high school. And as we grow it at other levels, I'm just so excited to have the opportunity to share this performance with you. This year we competed in football, volleyball, and basketball. Our teams did great in all. The football and volleyball events were on one-day events. And in February, as Mr. Barger said, our team went to the finals and to the regionals and defeated Searcy, Hot Springs, I've just got to say these so everyone statewide could hear it. Searcy, Hot Springs, Lakeside, and Bryant at Ouachita to qualify for the state championship game. And then on March 10th, we indeed did compete. And for the second time, we won the previous year, but won this year a AAA sanctioned event for the second time, beating Forest City, which by the way is also the hometown of Mr. Bishop and Ms. Daniels, so just throw that in. But I want to recognize these young men and women to say again how important it is. They formed best buddies this year within the Carrying Cats Club. And you'll see these students together again, not just on campus, not just at lunch, but at prom, at movies, at basketball games, at football games. And I think it's one of the strongest things we can say about the inclusive opportunities for us all, not just for those who are disabled, but even more so perhaps for those who aren't. And so I'm just delighted to be able to introduce them to you tonight. So if you give us just a moment, I'm going to recognize first Ms. Daniels' class, our athletes. David Johnson, if you would just stand, and then board, if you allow us to have the opportunity, we'd like to come by and shake hands. David. Ebony Day, who's also our homecoming queen, and opened the ceremony in Hot Springs. David, if you'll just kind of stay up here with me, I bet some people want to get a picture. If you go on across. Keandra Kennedy. Daquan Shorter. Diamond Forte. And Taiwan Jordan. And then some of our other athletes weren't able to be here, our partner athletes, but I'm gonna go ahead and just say their names so you'll know who they were. Ward, first of all, you met Cameron King last week. He was one of our team members. Also Eric Webster, I believe, is not able to be here tonight. Parker T. I saw Parker play, as well as coach on the floor. It was awesome. Kylie French. Barris Teague. Millie Myers. Coach Millie Myers, I should say. Miller Myers, I'm sorry. And Maddie Hefner.
Orlando Steiger.
Orlando Steiger, I'm sorry I didn't see this on the list. Orlando, please join us. Shake hands. What a great team. As they're making their way across, I do want to recognize, please, Ms. Daniels, Cheryl Daniels, you stand. Yvonne Brady. Quick photo op, if anybody wants to try and get one, wait just a second. I know Ms. Mulkey wants to get one, she's already warned me not to let us get away without that. Parents, thank you so much. I know this takes a lot of time and energy, and I could tell from your reaction as they won in overtime how delighted you were, so we're glad you're here tonight as well.
Charlotte, I'd like to say that you just did a great job down there.
They did indeed.
They were some really good scores.
That's right.
Basketball coach, I
Thank you.
I'd also like to say they're the most well-behaved group. They just enjoyed prom, had some great social media response to our kids that were there, as well as our partners, and we couldn't do it without all of you together. So my deepest thanks to you for your participation and support. Thank you.
Board, if I may, every child counts in this district. Every child counts. And we're proud of these guys and gals.
They made us proud.
Yes, they did. Neat group of kids. Thank you, Ms. Van. All right, Board, next on the agenda is recognition of our ProStart teacher and program, Jennifer Parks. I'm going to ask Ms. Lane to come up here and give a little bit of an introduction about what happened and give you some information about our ProStart program, and in particular the award that Ms. Park was recognized with.
I'm so proud of the culinary and ProStart teams. We also had a management team that placed first. It will also go to nationals. The ProStart team, just going and watching them, even going in the classroom and just watching them is just fascinating. Because you all know well, some of you may know the big, huge long words that you get when you go to a fancy restaurant. I don't. And so Ms. Park says, we're fixing such and such and such and such. I'm just like, tell me in English, because I don't really know what you're saying. But I'm so proud of them. They've all worked together, and they've done so good working as a team. When they went to and competed, they were a little bit nervous, and we had to talk to them about, they're going to be watching you, but they performed so well, and I'm so proud of them. Ms. Park has, and I don't even know how to describe her. She gives so much, and she's so selfless. She spends a lot of time with these kids, just one-on-one. So many of them just come in just because, just to be around her and Miss Bowers. They're both so good with the students and giving them the individual attention that they need, whether it's for culinary or just for whatever's going on in their lives. They've been so good about doing that. They're really appreciative of what the kids do, but they're also very appreciative of the community that also works with them. The Sparks Award was given to Chicago the first week in May to also be recognized there. And then our students will be going to South Carolina to compete against everybody else in the United States.
1,700 eligible teachers and 42 were recognized. And these kids, they work hard in class, after school, in study halls.
And do introduce them to us this evening, because we're very interested in them.
I have two teams, both my management team, and they develop a restaurant concept, kind of presented to the judges as their investors, kind of like Shark Tank, maybe. And that would be Anna, Pearl, Michaela, Angela, and Stephen right there. And they created a creperie on wheels. The name is French and I cannot pronounce it. Which means good stuff, and pretty impressive. They had to create their menu, their costing, their advertising, their truck, down to where they're going to put wastewater and generator and marketing budget, as well as their menu. It's pretty impressive. And they won. My culinary team, I have a couple here tonight. I have Madison, Sean, there you are, Jared. And they have 60 minutes, 2 burners, no pre-made ingredients, to come up with a high-end menu. This year they prepared a what they called a rainbow root salad, which I never thought you could get me to like a beet for anything in this world, and they were delicious. And a deconstructed beef Wellington. They made their own puff pastry from scratch, and were able to cook that on the stovetop without an oven. And their dessert was a lavender shortbread cookie with a white chocolate spear filled with a blueberry mascarpone mousse. How do you do that without an oven? She's not here. They took 2 large skillets and domed them to create an oven on top of the stove. And that's impressive. Words don't do justice. You'd have to see and taste it. This is by far one of the strongest teams I've had in a long time. They work really well together.
I was privileged to have gotten to see the pictures, especially the deconstructed beef Wellington I'm most interested in. But I mean, first of all, I'm blown away by the passion that you have when you talk about this, when you're not center stage like you are right now. But I know your passion about this program. I'm pleased to see that it's getting recognized as I think it should be. But I'm really impressed by the talent of your team too. That really creative and beautiful works of art.
Thank you.
Last year, we hosted the regional school board conference here, and y'all prepared a delicious meal. I want to tell you this. I was in Denver at the national conference this year. That's all North Little Rock want to talk about. That meal. And they wanted to know if we would just start hosting it everywhere. So you're known everywhere. And thank you so much for what you do.
Well, Board, I know you know this, they do excellent work, and we've tasted it, and it is quality work, and that begins with the quality instructors. So thank you, Jennifer, for working so tirelessly with our kids. And ladies and gentlemen on those teams, thank you. Thank you for what you do to make this school district even better. We're proud of you. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Oh, I think y'all want to stay for the legislative report. For sure. Oh, you do.
I was going to have essays to write.
Yes, yes. I would say that as well. Board, I've got a couple things, 2 or 3 things to talk to you about, and I want to begin by pointing your direction to some bills that have been passed and signed into law by the legislature. And let me tell you that, as you know, the legislative session has basically concluded. They've not formally concluded it, but they've done their business, and I think they'll wait until things are cleaned up and make sure that all things are done the way they need to, and then they will officially adjourn at some later date. At the end of the day, there's about 140 so acts that have been signed into law that have directly to do with education in some way or the other. And so I want to talk about some of those this evening, but let me walk you through the process of how we might handle these going forward. First of all, of course, the legislature does their work and passes the bill out and finalizes that process, and then sends it to the governor's office for signature, and that's what we've been waiting on for a final signature. Of course, he could veto. Rarely does so, but he could veto some bills. Once those have been signed into law, then the Department of Education actually has the next step in this process. For many of these bills, they will be required to establish rules and regulations and go through that process. And that is not something they do after about 2 or 3 weeks. It usually takes several months for them to establish the rules and regs and receive public comment, and then ultimately place those into action. Those regulations do hold the weight of law, however, and so that's why it's very important for us to monitor that process. After that process is monitored and it is completed, then it's our responsibility to implement. And so what we've done is with Peggy's assistance, we've constructed this spreadsheet for you to review, and then also for us to use as a template for what we need to do going forward. And you can use this as going forward, if you'd like to, as a reference point for any laws or acts that might have been passed during the session. Now, Mr. Barger, unless you would want me to, I'm not planning on going through 142 acts and talking about them. I'd rather just talk about the process and then perhaps hit a few highlights for you and let you know ultimately what some things have happened or how some things have happened. Let me point to your attention on the sheet that you're looking at on your screen that the column A has a name in it, and that would generally be the person that we're going to ask to point this and to write point as far as responsibility. And you'll see that there's several there at the beginning that have to do with Mr. Bishop, and those primarily have to do with facilities or transportation, or I think there's one in there having to do with nurses that we might need to be concerned about. And by the way, guys, we reviewed this the other day, but Peggy had added about 10 or 12 this afternoon, so just keep your eyes open. Ears pointed. The next section has to do with board, and these are things that you have primary concern over, I know, that have directly to do with you. And I want to point a couple things out, although we're not going to discuss the depth of any of these tonight. I do want to point a few things out. First of all, what is now Act 589, and I've highlighted that in yellow for you, requires that if there's a vacancy on the school board, that vacancy may occur if you fail to get your minimum of 6 hours of training each year. And so I know that you all are on top of that. That's not normally the problem, but it does require, if you don't get that 6 hours for you to be actually officially to be removed from your post. Again, that's not a problem. One that I know is of very great interest to us is Act 910, and that did indeed change the date of the school elections to either the November general election time or the primary time that's typically in May. That does not go into effect until January 1 of 18. And so we'll have to look at that as a board and make some determinations once we finish reviewing what the law says and also what the department may say about this. But we will obviously have to make some changes in our precedents. I know that's a concern to you all, for sure. There's lots of questions that I have, about this. If we put it in May, then when does the term begin? There's just some questions that are not answered that we'll have to seek some responsible answers from somebody to figure out exactly how the reaction is going to be.
Will that cost the school district any more money, Doc?
No, I don't think it will. I don't think I don't think that, unless I'm mistaken, I don't believe that the county clerk or the voters, people in charge of the vote will actually parse out that particular part of the charge to the district. They may. They have certainly in the past whenever we've had our elections in September. But I don't know that it will definitely increase the cost of the election.
What about I can see where when they vote, like from 2 board members are large.
Yes.
I can see where that'll be no problem. If everybody that goes to the polls can vote
Right.
for those 2. But what about zone? How are they going to draw these things up where, so these people know that this is the only one they can vote for?
I think that's one of the most interesting parts of this whole process, Mr. Carter. And I've heard people that are on our local election commission speak against this because of that particular complexity. You know, you have the lines of the city, you have the lines of the county, you have the lines of the school district, and they are not contiguous by any stretch. And so it's possible that somebody could be so confused as to have to vote for a city council member and a school board member, but then you move a block over and they're voting for the city council member, but not the school board member. You vote another way, they vote for the school board member, but not the city council member. So it is going to be complicated. I think it's going to be a lot of work for those people down in the that take care of the vote.
I've read it for I guess it's the county clerk.
Yes.
That's all that.
Yeah.
That'll be really tough.
Yes, it will. So we'll keep our eyes open for that one for sure. Couple of things that you might want to be interested in, that we are interested in, that we will follow. The next one that I have highlighted is Act 862. And the department is going to allow some pilot programs regarding how to make up snow days whenever we might want to do some online things or other various ways to make up a day or hold school during a snow day as opposed to canceling school and then making it up at the end of the year. Again, lots of questions about this one as well, but the department is going to work with various school districts to see about piloting something to do for making up school snow days. One that was interesting to us as well is Act 867, which repeals the mandatory requirement for 350 minutes of planned instructional time for grades 9 through 12. I do not know what that means. And I do not know what that means in terms of how we hold school. Right now, every student in 9 through 12 is required to be in school for 7 periods. This law apparently, at the very least, loosens that up, if not calls into question whether a student may very well even be able to be required to go to school a full day. Again, we need more direction from the department about this, and we need more specificity from them about how we need to comply with that particular law. Another couple of things under curriculum instruction that I think you'll be interested in. We have a new course that we're going to start teaching in a year or so. By Act 480, we now are required to have a course credit for a personal finance class for every student that graduates, beginning, I guess, a year from now. We do know what we're supposed to teach because it's specifically outlined in law. Now, I'm not a big fan of outlining standards for curriculum in law, but apparently whoever wrote the bill was very much in favor of telling us exactly what was going to be taught. You can look at the bill and you can see what's going to be taught in this class. Another little confusing thing, just to let you know that we remain a little bit confused. It says a course credit. In our mind, a course credit is a full year as opposed to a half credit. I think most people would think this is a half credit course, but the law says credit. So we'll look to the department to see what they say about this as well.
I think it already be a challenge for high school kids to get the classes they want to take under the current.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You know, and to your point, Dr. Robinson, there are lots of folks that are interested in us teaching a lot of things. And we certainly, we're interested in teaching everything we can or should for kids. But we still only have a certain number of hours in the day. And, kids are going to have to make even more choices now based on an additional credit requirement. We'll keep an eye out for that one.
So this would eliminate one of our extracurricular courses that a student could have taken before.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Another one is Act 872, just below that one, which allows the school district to develop a plan for the issuing a high school course credit competency for a subject without a student completing the hours of instruction, which basically is the idea would be a student could clep out of a high school course. We find that interesting as well, and we certainly need more direction from other people about that as well. But I don't know how that's gonna figure in, or whether we have the authority to do anything we choose to do, or whether we must do anything that they choose to do. Dr. Robinson, you have anything?
Well, I was just wondering if that included, for example, kids need 4 years of English.
I think that,
I mean, is there any limitation to the type of course that could,
I don't think there is.
is
Which
that up to our discretion?
I think it is. I hope it is. But again, we need some direction,
I guess that could make room for personal finance.
I suppose. Or else somebody suggested maybe we could give them credit for personal finance by just letting them flip out of it. Act 478, and I'm jesting, folks, I hope you understand. This is one that you might have heard about. Act 478 requires the passing of a citizenry test, passing 60 out of 100 correct questions in a civics class, perhaps. That same one that a person might pass for citizenship. They can take the class or the test as many times as they need to, but they will have to take that and pass it before they can move on and graduate. Interesting. We will keep close look on Act 744, which requires or revises how the department school rating system is determined. You know, the A, B, C, D, F, the pass-fail, they've got lots of different things in there that we need to keep track of, along with Act 930, which repeals the what we call ACTAP and comprehensive testing and all the accountability things. If you read through that, I think Mr. Lynn said there's 40-some odd pages of stricken through law. I don't want to overstate it, but there's, you know, they struck through 40-some odd pages and added 30 pages of law. They're basically redoing the school accountability system. That's a pretty big deal, folks. Pretty big deal. And this is the department's bill. They are doing what the department's asked them to do in this particular example. But it's as I said, we need to keep a close watch on that and make sure that we're on top of it. But it'll be very interesting to be able to see that. Other things that are marked on there are TR, which is teacher retirement, and then Ms. Vance got a few things on there. I put an X on things. You can see there's an X over there in category because they really have nothing to do with us or little to do with us. They might have to do with the charter school specifically, or they might have to do with the Department of Education getting their funding. It's not something that we are really going to track to any degree, but it is an education bill. And then there's some here at the very end that we're going to ask Xenia to keep tabs on. You know, I would say in general, board, there are some things that we were pleased about. I think, you know, we've spoken publicly about our view of the voucher bill, and we were happy to see that did not pass this time. Certainly it's not going to go away, and it will come back again, I'm sure, in the next session. But we're happy about that. You know, other things that, you know, I would hope that in the future we might not have nearly as much activity in. You know, I think, you know, less is better in my opinion. But not everybody that's elected to the legislature believes that. So we will continue to monitor, and as I said, the main thing from this point forward, board, is that we are going to depend upon the Department of Education to give us guidance about some specific things. And if they don't give us guidance, then we'll seek guidance and make sure that we do what we're supposed to do. And we'll do it with a cheerful heart and try to make sure we are in compliance. Other thoughts or questions about the session, board? It's been interesting. Next on the agenda, board, is I'd like to give you a brief summary of our financial condition for the district at this time. And I will give you my general statement. We continue to be in solid financial shape, good financial shape. I don't think that there's any doubt about that at all. I think that at the end of the year, things will continue to be going in a positive direction. I think that if you look at the last page, my one that I always like to look with you about is the year-to-date comparison. The one part that you will tilt your head about has to do again with property taxes, and I guess this will be my constant reminder for the remainder of the year. About $700,000 of that it's really not a fair comparison. There should be $700,000 less than 15-16. So really the negative amount is closer to $400,000. I'm quite sure that that will all be cleaned up by the end of the year. The positive thing is that under state revenue, we're well above where we were last year, and I think we will continue to be well above that based on student growth funding. But again, Board, I have no reason to give you any alarm at all as far as our financial condition is concerned. Any questions about that, Bob? Based on that financial circumstances that we've just discussed, Board, I'd like to, if you give me the honor of making a recommendation to you, I would certainly appreciate it. We have, over the last several years, tried our best in around this time of the year to make adjustments to our salary schedules for the coming school year. You will recall, Board, that last year we were unable to do that because of the number of students that we did not grow last year. We had an unusual year as far as our student growth is concerned. I'm happy to announce to you this evening, Board, that we would like to recommend to you that based on our current financial condition, we believe it's appropriate to and feasible to increase all salary schedules, all positions on all salary schedules by 1% for the 17-18 school year. This would go into effect in July 1. Let me walk you through. I know this is a system or a system that you're accustomed to, but I do want to make sure that you're comfortable with what has happened. First of all, this particular recommendation is based on the fact that we had some unbudgeted revenue this year. That unbudgeted revenue was in student growth funding. I don't think that we anticipated, nor did we budget the number of additional students that we had this year and the amount of money that came with those students. You're certainly aware, Board, that we receive money from the Department of Education for what's called student growth funding. That is for any new student that comes into our district, new FTE that comes into our district from that as compared to last year. And that number is so far is well over $1 million in new students. And so we use that money, as you're aware, to fund the Christmas bonus that is in this year's expenditures. And so we know that now, Board, that we have some flexibility as far as making a recommendation for next year based on that revenue. The process is this. We, as an administrative team, review the financial circumstances of the district and make sure that, first of all, whatever we recommend to you, this district can afford. I hope you trust me enough to know that I would never bring something to you that I did not believe we could afford either this year or in future years. And we've done that study. Xenia certainly does a fabulous job of running numbers, and she has lots of spreadsheets that she brings to me, and we look at it to do that analysis. Once we make a determination of what we believe is feasible, the next step is to present that to what we call our Personnel Policy Committee. We have two of those, a License Committee and a Classified Committee. And those two committees are asked to review the recommendation. And then if they choose to do so, they are asked to approve that recommendation. Now, just as a technicality, let me tell you that first of all was done this past Monday afternoon, and we, for the sake of convenience, Ms. Allen, who does a great job with both of those committees, asked that both of the committees meet together. There's a common bond there. There's really no reason to have two separate meetings. But their action is they make two separate motions and actions. And they were certainly pleased and more than willing to approve the recommendation. Just a small technicality that you might be aware of, but just to let you know, the board does not have to follow the recommendations of the PPC. The law requires only that we present it to them and ask for their thoughts and vote. You could do something different. Same thing is true with calendar and other issues. So many things are brought to the PPC for their approval, but at the end of the day, you have the final say. Now, I would hope that we are in agreement with this, that we would try to stay in alignment with our folks. You know, there's not if they're in alignment with us, I would hope that you as well would be in alignment with them. But just to let you know, that's within the parameter of the board. We'll bring it to you this evening and ask you to vote on that in just a moment, ask for your approval. And then our salary schedules will be modified. Xenia has those ready to go, and we know what those salary schedules look like. They'll be plugged into the system, and then sometime in the next week or so, we will begin issuing contracts for the 17-18 school year for our teachers and our classified employees to be able to sign so that they can have employment for next year. We try to get that done so that our employees have reasonable time to be able to review their contract, but also by law, they are required to turn it back to us within 30 days. If they don't return the contract back to us within 30 days, then technically speaking, they don't have a job. And so we try to do that within a window of time so that we can make sure that our employees return those contracts before they leave for the summer. So that's the process, and I apologize, I probably have over communicated that, but I wanted to make sure you understood what our recommendation was, and second of all, what the process is. So I will step to the side and ask you if you have any questions for this particular action. If you do, I'll be more than happy to answer them, or Zena can answer, or any of our folks can answer any questions for you.
Dr. Murray, you might want to share with us the actual dollar amount for 1%.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Barger. Our estimated cost for next year for the operating fund is $630,676. $630,676. That includes any matching benefits that were required, like teacher retirement and FICA, those kind of things. That's all included there. Thank you for bringing that up.
And it does still provide us room for growth should we need the additional students for next year as well. I
Exactly.
understand.
Thank you. Yes. We do need to have some money in reserve because there are positions that we know we're going to have to hire because of growth. Our elementary classrooms are extremely tight right now, extremely tight, and we're going to have to hire some elementary folks, I'm quite sure. And there's some other positions as students go through the upper levels that, we need additional teachers to take care of that. Thank you.
Board, anyone have any other questions? We've known about this proposal for over a month now, so are we ready for a vote? Okay, the motion will be to approve an increase of 1% to each position on each salary schedule for the 2017-2018 school year. Do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Thank you very much, Board, and on behalf of your 1,100 employees, thank you. I know that they very much appreciate it.
I'm really glad we're able to do that this year.
Yes.
Okay, I believe we have Dr. Bradshaw first. You want her to go?
Mr. Bishop's up next.
Okay.
We're going to take their lunch prices.
I am so
So
sorry.
we look a whole lot alike.
I made a vow never to leave my glasses again, but if I don't put them on just right, I'm sorry.
I understand.
Okay.
All schools that participate in the National School Lunch Program are required, as of July 1, 2011, of Section 205 of the Healthy Hunger-Free Kids Act of 2010, are required to complete a paid lunch equity tool, which helps calculate how much we should be charging paid students and paid lunches in our lunchroom. It's a pretty complicated tool and pretty complicated calculations, and Ms. Burgess does a good job with that. And after calculating for this year, we are recommending that we increase our lunch meal prices by 10 cents, from $2.25 for elementary school to $2.35 for elementary school students. Secondary students will be from $2.50 to $2.60. At this time, we charge $1.50 for breakfast, and that there'll be no changes in breakfast. Adult meal prices are $2 for breakfast and $2.50 for lunch. A good bit of this money, as it has the last few years, will go into the lunches and provide more offerings for the lunches. Some of you, all of you have been to our elementary schools to eat, and you see in our middle schools and secondary, you see an abundance of fruit and vegetables and different varieties that we are providing for our students. And so I do want to point out that Conway Schools has always taken a lot of pride in holding our meal prices down as low as we can, but because of the federal calculations, we pretty much have to do this. And so I just want to point that out. And so I thank you and ask for approval of these meal prices.
This, you know, it's been a thorn in my side for years. I have to chew this and humbly swallow it, but, you know, we've got some families out there have a hard time financially, and yet we're forced to raise our prices when we really don't need to. So I swallow humbly, but I sure don't like it.
Yes, sir, I agree. And it does not affect the free and reduced lunch prices, but it does affect the ones that are, yes, sir.
I have a question, changing the subject just a little bit. Our elementary schools are going to, it seems like we're having a garden all over the place and all these schools. Are we allowed to actually serve that food in the lunchroom?
They do. Yes, sir, we are serving.
It doesn't have to be, somebody doesn't have to come in and examine it before we get to it.
Burning or something wrong with something out there that we don't need to
Just
poison.
We do have grants, and we do have a person, Carolyn Lewis, right now that's overseeing that program. And this year, we are adding another person that we're going to split with different schools to oversee the program and make sure everything, and we're real excited about that. That is a growing program, and you all have seen how the kids are reacting and learning, and it's a great tool.
Mr. Bishop, is, I guess my question is along the lines of Dr. Amy. Is that, like, I'm sure like, you know, like the produce and things of that, is that bidded out?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We bid, unless there's a state bid already that has already been bid through the state that we can go by, yes, sir, we bid out.
Is it like once a year or?
Yes, sir.
Bish, one of the neatest things that I think our elementary schools, and I guess maybe middle schools are adopting is this fresh emphasis on what we're eating. And I think our kids are buying into it. I think our families are buying into it. It's really a neat, phenomenon that's going on these last 2 or 3 years. And I hope we continue to encourage that, because I think there's a lot of knowledge here, not just in what we're eating, but also in young people willing to grow their own things. I mean, it's a life experience for them, especially after they get out of school. I garden more now than I've ever done, and of course I give most of my stuff away. Nobody's died yet, but I mean, it's really a joy to be able to work their hands in the dirt. I don't know whether people do the same, but these kids finally get their hands in the dirt and get to see the results. It's a great program.
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all for that.
Any other comments?
Ms. Clemens, I had enough of that garden work when I was
Well, they come with Fort City. You didn't have to work as hard in Fort City as you do with this red clay.
Okay, I hear a motion to approve the increases of the 2017 and 2018 school meal prices as presented.
So moved. Second.
Right.
Thank you very much. As you all know, it's this time of the year we try to present the student handbook for adoption. In previous years, we've always run off lots of hard copies, about 10,000, some in Spanish and all of that. It's now available online, and I think our parents find that very user-friendly. We still do print off a number of hard copies for anyone who requests it, and certainly copies in Spanish. It's also, Grace has already been working on making the changes, and there are very, very few changes, substantive changes to the handbook. As you all know, the State Department is very prescriptive about what's contained in here, and so a lot of it is just, it is informational, has school calendar, mascot, theme song, that sort of thing. But the state, as far as standards is required, pretty much dictates to us what needs to be included in the handbook. So it's always interesting. I love getting the feedback from the elementary schools, because we have students and we have parents, we have staff, we have all different kids. Everyone takes a look at the handbook and makes suggestions, and I always thoroughly enjoy the comments that I get from from the elementary schools when they meet and discuss the handbook, and I got some last week, and I got tickled because one of them was referring to one of our SROs, and they said, he needs backup. In little, it was in about, first grade handwriting, officer so-and-so needs backup. And I thought, yeah, that playground, I bet can be pretty treacherous over there, but it's really cute. They typically want, 5 recesses a day, and, things like that. So we always consider that, and then, but we do take feedback from all stakeholders. If there are any staff changes that will be occurring, we always make those. Contact information is always updated. But as far as substantive changes, there will not be any of significance really this year in the handbook. Once again, this is just for your study for this month and just on the consent agenda possibly for next month. But if you have questions or comments, please feel free to email me or call me. I'll be happy to try to provide clarification for you on anything that you have. So that's it, unless you have
Anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Now, Mr. Lynn, would you like to come down? Assessment.
Thank you, Mr. Barger. It's everybody's favorite time of the year, spring testing. It's what we all wait for as it comes around. And this year it is a little bit interesting because, as Dr. Murray highlighted earlier, there's been a lot of changes to the accountability laws, and so we're going to be operating kind of with a foot in both worlds until we can get this all figured out. But what I want to do tonight is just highlight for you briefly the state required assessments that our students are taking or have taken and are currently taking this spring. Kind of walk you through what those mean, and then just a quick blurb about some changes that we know are coming for next year. On February 28th, all of our juniors at Conway High School had the opportunity to take the ACT for free. This was a program that started last year. And as a former high school principal, I was very excited to see that because we have a lot of students who don't take the ACT for whatever reason, and they can do very, very well on it. We had a lot of first-time test takers last year and this year who scored really well, and it really showed some of them that they are capable of being successful, and if they were concerned about whether or not they could make it with college-level work, this showed them that they could. So we appreciate the state giving all of our juniors that opportunity. Both years we've had roughly 700 kids take it. It's given during the regular school day, and this ACT score counts just like the ones they take on Saturday for scholarships, for academic eligibility to college, for athletic eligibility to college. It's a regular ACT, and they pay zero for it. So it's a really great thing for our kids. And I appreciate the staff at the high school getting that together. That's a big undertaking to give the ACT to 700 kids during the regular school day. They do a great job at that. There is a new law that we are looking at that's going to give students the option, we think, to choose which grade in high school they take that free ACT. And that's one of the laws that got passed in the last session. So we're going to monitor what the rules and regs are on that. On April 4th through 6th, last week, our first and second graders took the Iowa exam. This is just a general knowledge test, covered reading, vocabulary, and math. This is the same test they've been taking for the last several years at grades 1 and 2, but this is the last year that we'll be taking the Iowa exam. Starting next year, our K-1-2 students will be assessed, instead of one large assessment at the end of the year, they're going to be taking several smaller assessments throughout the year. Now you think, well, that's going to be more testing. Actually, the way that it's been rolled out to us from the state level is actually going to be less testing. Right now, those kids sit for 3 half days of testing. These will be short tests the kids actually take in the classroom on Chromebooks. There'll be just, instead of one test with a lot of questions, there'll be several shorter tests. And the way it's been explained to us now is that the teachers will get feedback on those tests within 24 hours. And so they can use those assessment results to see where the kids are right then and make whatever adjustments they need to make to their instruction to help that kid move forward. So we are excited, as I visited with elementary staff about this. We're getting a lot of positive feedback from the teachers on some potential uses of that assessment data. So there'll be more formative assessments than one big summative assessment at the end of the year. And we're looking at that for grades K1, 2. And right now, grades 3 through 10, they're taking the ACT Aspire. This is the second year. This is what used to be the old benchmark test. And it was the Park exam for 1 year, and now we're in the second year of the Aspire. These are online tests, and you see on the schedule there what it's going to look like for the next 3 weeks. We did start 7th grade this morning. I visited all of the middle schools, and testing was running very smoothly. Again, I want to commend our counselors who serve as our building test coordinators. They do a great job, and our administrative staff and our teachers that work with the testing program. The ACT Aspire scores, those are what are used for the accountability reports. And we assume that that's going to be moving forward, that we're going to keep that. We've not heard anything about the Aspire test changing like the K2 assessments change. And so we're going to keep operating that we're going to move forward for the next several years with Aspire. And it'll be good, frankly, to have the same test for multiple years so we can look at same type data. It's hard to make really comparisons on how you're doing when you're looking at 3 different tests over 3 different years. You know, we need like data to make informed instructional decisions. So we are excited about the opportunity to keep this same assessment for the upcoming future. So any questions about our state assessment program? It's riveting stuff, I know. But is there anything I can clear up for you or explain better?
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
Do our junior teachers that teach mainly junior level classes, do they give, I was talking to a kid from Bologna, they take the test on Wednesday or Thursday, whatever day in Bologna, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every class they're in, math teachers are talking about, look for these questions, English teachers are giving hints. Do we give hints throughout the?
Yes,
is there any extra?
We've got, there's 2 things in this. I'm going to draw back on my days when I was in the building. Most of our kids do take the ACT in the 11th grade. We did some of this in our senior level classes also, is that as a normal part of the curriculum, they talk about whether it be a bell ringer activity when the kids come in, or a couple of assessment questions. They form them like they'll see on the ACT. There'll be ACT vocabulary skills or math skills, and then leading up to the ACT test that all of the juniors take, we do some test prep work with them. There's some practice tests that we can give. So yeah, we have folded some of that into our curriculum program because we know it's coming. We know the kids are going to take it. It's a big deal for them. And so we want to make sure that we're prepared. Now, you know, we don't stop school and just teach ACT for 9 weeks, but we've done a good job with Miss Bunting's assistance with her curriculum folks figuring out how to infuse those ACT skills and that ACT stuff into the curriculum. So when the kids see it on ACT day, it's not a surprise to them.
So every 11th grader takes the test?
Yes, the last 2 years, every 11th grader had the opportunity. Now, parents could opt out, and both years we've had just 2 or 3 opt out, and we don't ask why. The state gives them that prerogative. But once you tell moms and daddies this is a free ACT, they're on board.
Is there a limit to how many times a student can take the ACT before they graduate?
No, sir, there's not. They can take it as many times as they want to pay for it. Yes, sir.
How much is it?
It's in the
$45.
Yeah, it was in the 30s for a while, and yeah, this is a junior model right here, and she knows exactly how much it costs.
And then it bumps up to about 95, and the writing portion is an additional 35.
Are you sure about that?
I paid for it 8 times.
And our students who are on free lunches, there are a certain number of times they can take it for free. They get waivers.
Well, the 1 year though is free.
Yes, that's for the whole school.
But let's just say you take it. Have you seen in the past where a kid can raise their score 3 to 5 points or whatever from the time they started taking it?
Oh, yeah.
So it's possible that the more you take it, the better you score then.
And like I said, and that's what we like so much about this opportunity for the juniors to take it, is because we'd have so many kids that would actually go into senior year that just for whatever reason hadn't taken it yet. So the counselors are sitting there talking to them about, you know, college options and career options. Well, what's your ACT score? I hadn't taken it. Well, you know, senior year is a little late to get started. So at the very least, we now have a baseline ACT score on every junior at Conway High School that the senior counselors can look at and then work with that kid during senior year on how they can get better and what options that they can have.
So, let's just say English. They can take their top score in English and then they just keep.
No, they don't super score anymore.
They don't do that anymore?
No.
So, well, how do they raise it then? If they,
You gotta at least maintain what you did in your good areas and get better in the areas where you were deficient.
okay, I got you. It's been a long time.
But you can't slack off at any time.
Used to be a little different.
Right, they changed that, well, let's go. Anything else?
Very interesting.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you, Joe. Well done.
If we have students in the audience tonight and you have to take back a signed sheet from one of us that you attended our meeting tonight, feel welcome to come by after we adjourn. And that's what we're gonna do right now. So while we're gonna go into an executive session to look at personnel. So you're willing to stick around if you want to. I don't know how long we'll be in there, but we'll be coming back out and voting at a later time. Thank you for coming.